The purpose of Silence the Podcast is to inspire low-income students and students of color to apply to Yale and other prestigious institutions by sharing my experiences. The purpose of Silence the Podcast is not to defame, bash, slander, attack, or drive hate or harassment towards anyone mentioned on the episode, including but not limited to Yale University, Yale College, other entities related to Yale, Yale staff, or Yale administration. The opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Aisha, Selena, or any guest on Silence the Podcast do not reflect the opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Yale University, Yale College, Yale administration, or other entities related to Yale. Buckle in. Silence is complacency.
Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Silence the Podcast. This is episode 11, the season finale of season 1 of Silence. We're going to get into a lot today, but before we get into it, I just want to say this was the roughest season in my life, and I didn't want to come on camera sad and depressed because I would hate for someone to listen to my podcast episode or watch my episode and leave feeling like drained and sad afterwards. That's how deep in the trenches my mental health was for the past 8 months of my life. Saying all that to say, welcome to the very last episode of season 1 of Silence. Thank you so much if you stayed, if you watched all 11 episodes, if you watched episode 8 and you're coming back for episode 11, or if this is your very first episode, thank you so much for tuning in. I never would have imagined the success of this podcast from me just coming on here and talking about my real life experiences as a freshman, a Black girl from Brooklyn, New York, attending Yale. Like, I would have never thought, but the amount of love and support that I got throughout this entire season, throughout my entire first year, just from these episodes alone, is something I will forever be grateful for. So thank you. I'm gonna get into the future of like Silence and what I plan to do with it a little bit later in this episode, but of course I just had to come on here and say thank you before we do literally anything else. So now let's get into a recap, a reflection of my first year at Yale, the worst season of my life. And I could confidently say that throughout my entire 19 years on this planet, the past year or however long I was in school for, my freshman year, was the worst period of my entire life. And I'm laughing now, like I'm joking, I'm smiling now, but this was not funny. Like, it was really bad. Let's get into it. I'm not gonna go into as much detail, obviously, as I did in all other 10 episodes because we will be here till next year. I'm just gonna take it all the way back to last June, July, and the beginning of August before I even got to college. If you watch my first, I don't even remember the episode numbers, like this is episode 11, that's all I know. But if you watch one of the first episodes of Silence, then you know I spent the entire summer in between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college really like reflecting and reevaluating and reassessing my entire life. And I did this like deep and intrinsic reflection and like soul searching because I thought it would set me up for success going into my first year. And when I say reflection, I mean I really reflected. Like, I really went and kind of evaluated and assessed and just reflected on everything I went through in my life, the type of person I was at that time, what areas I wanted to improve in, what areas that I think like I was doing well on, and what type of person did I want to be going into college. And that reflection was very important for me because obviously nobody's perfect. Like, it's a very cliche saying, but nobody is perfect. And I pride myself on being very self-aware, like hyper self-aware, to the point where like it will cause me to suffer for a year straight. But we'll get into that later. I know like all of my flaws. I know the areas where I'm not the best person at. I know the areas where I'm a great person at. I know what I can improve on. Like, I'm very self-aware. So I really wanted to use that like self-awareness to make sure that I was walking into college being the best version of myself that I could be. And on top of that self-reflection period, I was just super excited for school. Like, I was so excited for this new beginning. I was so excited for this journey. I was so excited to go to college. Like, bro, my entire life I've been waiting to go to college. Like, since middle school, that's as long as I can remember and as far back as I could think. Like, that's how long I've been so pressed and so excited to get to college. It's just the period, the era, the season of my life that I expected to be the best. Like, I was so excited, so happy. Not like start over, because obviously I've lived for 19, at that point I lived for 18 years. So a lot of like life experiences and lessons and trauma and heartbreak and all that, I was all like obviously carrying that with me going into college. But I thought like I was healed from that. I thought it was good. Not obviously not 100% healed, but I thought I got over a lot of the humps that I experienced like previously in my life. Once again, that was the purpose of the self-reflection period, to like make sure I'm going into college with an open heart, open mind, ready to take the experience for everything that is going to be and make it the best experience that I could possibly make it. I got to college and I was super excited. I cried like a baby on moving day. As my family moved in the last bit of my stuff and they were getting back in the car to like drive away, I literally started crying. I started bawling. Me and my mom, we started crying together. When I was on the way back, walking back to my room by myself when they were leaving for the first time, random people were like patting my back and rubbing my shoulder because I was literally dead ass crying. Like that's how overwhelmed with joy I felt, but also nervous to be going through this alone, like for the first time, and experience all of this new things by myself for the first time. So settling into college, it was honestly, it was very overwhelming. I'm not even gonna lie. It was a lot going on like within the first couple of days. I felt like my brain was everywhere. I feel like I was overstimulated on top of like seeing so many people and seeing so many faces that I've never seen before, on top of being at a school where I've only toured once or twice, on top of being in a completely different state where I've only been a few times in my childhood to go to like amusement parks and stuff, on top of like, you know, just trying to get acclimated with my surroundings. Like, it was very overwhelming. All in all, I was still very excited. Classes started, like I was doing super good in my classes. I really enjoyed my classes. And at that time, I thought I made a good like group of friends. I thought I surrounded myself and found a good group of people that I would, you know, go on to experience the rest of my first year, the rest of my college experience, and the rest of my like adulthood with. Like that's how lucky I thought I got in terms of the people that I met within the first few, you know, weeks here. I'm not gonna lie, I did experience the imposter syndrome, and I honestly don't think that ever went away. And I say that in terms of once I started having my first few conversations with people, and then I'm listening, I'm talking, and I'm like figuring out like who they are and like what they're passionate about and what things they were involved in high school and stuff. And I'm listening to these people and I'm hearing like, y'all did a lot more than what I did. And that's when the question of like, why did I get into Yale really started to seep in. Comparison is a thief of joy. If I was chosen out of the thousands of people that applied to the school and have been crying and begging and praying to get into the school, but they chose me as one of the people to be a Yale student, obviously you want to know what was it that made them choose you. It's not even on a pick me shit. It's just on like, wow, like y'all really saw something in me. Like, what did y'all see? That's when like the questions really started popping into my head, because I will forever say I'm surrounded, regardless of my experience at Yale so far, I am surrounded by some of the smartest, most intelligent, most brilliant, most hardworking people, most passionate people I've ever met in my entire life. And that's part of the reason why I was excited to come here, because that's exactly what I wanted to be around. But in terms of things that they had done with their life and the awards they've done and the extracurriculars they had under their belt and the experiences they had compared to mine, I was just like, they chose me to come to the school. August, September, October, you know, the first 3 months is the recap I'm giving right now. I also started to join some clubs. I joined the fashion lifestyle club at Yale, aka Fly. That was one of the best decisions I made for my first year, because if you follow me on Instagram, then you know I like taking pictures, you know, I like to capture aesthetic moments and things like that. You know, I wanted to do things that I was interested in. Then also getting my job at the Afro-American Cultural Center, aka the house. That was also something that I was very excited to do, because I was excited and I was determined to surround myself with other Black people and to immediately implement myself in those spaces where Black people feel safe at. And my job in the house has always been, since the moment I stepped in, a place where I feel safe at. I did start having some negative experiences with people end of August, like beginning of September. You might think like, wow, like that's kind of early to be falling out with people and arguing with people. I'm not gonna go through like the entire recap of that. If you want to know some details of what happened and like what I'm talking about, what I'm hinting at, you can go watch episode 4, I believe. I think that's why I went into detail like my first friendships at Yale and like the fallout and all of that. I still feel like I had good people around me. I was able to get through it. I was able to move past it. And, you know, I'll do some more reflecting on that towards the end of this episode, because I've had, trust me, a lot of time alone to sit and reflect and really unpack, like, did I handle those situations well? Like, where was my wrongdoings in those situations? But yeah, so that was the first 3 months. Life felt all over the place, but in the best way possible. Everything was so new, everything was so fresh, and that excitement and that joy and that curiosity was still there. Yes, I had some negative experiences. Yes, I started to question myself and question my worth and question my intelligence and question whether or not I would fit in there. But all in all, like, everything was fine, relatively fine. So then we move into November, December, and that is where literally everything changed. Like, oh my God. That is where my first year at Yale really shifted. The first 3 months, like that was like my fairy tale dream. Like I said, I was going through some struggles, I was going through some challenges, but those first 3 months were literally everything I pictured and everything I imagined and everything I wanted college to be. And then everything took a sharp turn, a very sharp turn at the end of November. That's when shit started to get real serious. That's where I fell out with the people that I was closest to. That's why I fell out with the people that I thought were like my sisters and my family, and even like other people that were mutuals for all of us. Like everything just started to drift, everything started to fall apart over something that was so like small and minute in my opinion. I am not too prideful to say that literally changed the entire trajectory of my first year at Yale, because I immediately went from being with friends, hanging out with friends every day, being with people that I truly loved and cared about every single day, having the time of our life, doing work together, going to Target runs together, going to the store together, going to the gym together, literally time of my life, thinking I found my best friends. I thinking I got lucky, you know? And then all that shifting in a matter of a week, like that was crazy. And that was not something I was expecting literally at all. That is where my like period of alone started as a freshman. If you are in college right now, or if you went to college before, or if you are about to go to college, maybe you might have a different opinion, but I am pretty confident I could speak for majority of us when I say the social aspect of college is just as important as the academic aspect. Having a community and having friends and people that you love and care about and that love and care about you is so important in college, because if you don't have that, it will get lonely very, 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 very fast. I'm talking about alone, where every single day you're waking up, all you're doing is going to class, going to your room, going to class, going to your room, going to class, going to work, going back to your room, going to class. Like every single day you have little to no interaction or social interaction with other people, and it's just terrible. Like you're in your head, you're alone, like you're going through so much up here. That's another thing that's different for in high school. Like if you're going through a lot, if you're sad, people are more likely to ask like what's wrong, like are you okay, especially like teachers and adults. In college, nobody's paying that much close attention to you, and I'm not saying that that's what I wanted. I'm not saying I wanted attention, but I'm just stating like a plain fact. In high school, there are more people that are interested and invested and more willing to ask like are you okay if they see you're having a hard time. In college, one, it's harder to tell if someone is having a hard time, and two, like it's just less likely that someone will stop you and ask you like, hey, like are you okay. And it's definitely very, very, very rare, unless you're in like a smaller class with a smaller amount of people, for the teacher or the professor to stop you and be like, hey, like I've noticed that you seem kind of down, you seem kind of sad, like is everything okay. So you're going through all of that by yourself alone. That was genuinely the lowest period of my entire life. I think in my like depression anxiety episodes, episode 8 or 9 I believe, I talked about how 2018 like that was the worst year of my life. Absolutely not. Freshman year of college takes the cake by far. I was like completely alone from the end of November all the way up until like the end, all the way up until May 8th or whatever. No, May 4th when I left like the campus. So that was one of the roughest things that I ever had to go through. Like that shit was crazy. And then during that period of time, I went through a lot of questioning myself, questioning my character, questioning my worth, questioning my beliefs, questioning my values, questioning whether or not I fit in at Yale, questioning whether or not I wanted to be at Yale. It was just so much like questioning, and that was the most unsure of myself I have ever felt. I try to tread a little carefully, tread a little lightly when I speak in these episodes, because I don't want anyone listening to have the misconception that Yale is the reason why I struggle so bad. Yale is like 25% of the problem. Yale has some underlying issues and things that I don't necessarily care for or don't necessarily like about the school, but 75% of what I experienced and 75% of why my first year of college was so shitty was personal shit that I had to overcome, and personal things and personal problems. 75% of my suffering was caused by me. 75% of the sadness and the depression and the dark space that I was in my entire freshman year was self-induced, because it was certain things that I was dwelling on. It was certain things that I just could not stop my brain from thinking about. I let a lot of what I went through eat me up completely. Obviously, I'm not going to get on here and say what my thoughts were at the time and what I was going through and the things like that, because they don't want to put me in a mental hospital if I do that. And there's nothing wrong with the mental hospital, but like that's not where I want to be right now. Okay, I made it. My first year is done. I'm home. I'm a sophomore at Yale now. I don't want to be there. I don't want to go there. Throughout the darkness, I can't say that is when I started Silence, and I also started my nonprofit, The Voices We Hear, where I offer free college mentoring for high school juniors and seniors, and I mentor them throughout the entire process step by step, and I help them, I guide them, I answer their questions. I was still functioning, but it was still hard. And I will definitely say I did finish the semester off strong. As y'all know, I did get my first B plus, and that was hard to take because I never got anything lower than a 94 ever in my life, and a B plus is like a 92, and a 92 is like an 89 or some shit like that. So that was my lowest grade I ever got in my entire life. And I finished off the semester strong. My GPA wasn't bad, my grades weren't bad, but it was rough. It was a rough semester, and falling out with the people that I thought were like my closest friends and my sisters or whatever the case may be in my family, like that is what started the ripple and like the trickle effect of like why my first year was so bad. So moving on, December we went on winter break, and winter break was honestly the break that I needed, and that's why I genuinely like college so much, because our breaks are much longer than high school. My break was like I think a month and a week long, so I really had a lot of time to like recharge, reflect, get away from the school, get away from my dorm, get away from all the things that were stressing me out. Then after that, I came back from winter break in January, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not ready to come back then. As soon as I got back, like I fell back into that very dark space that I left in December during winter break. I'm back in the room where I'm crying in every day, or I'm back on the campus where I have to see people that I have such like deep issues, like unresolved issues with, or I'm back on the campus where I have to see people that I feel like wronged me, and I'm back in the place where I'm always stressed out, and I'm back in the place where I always have 50 million assignments, and I'm back in a place where like I'm just back in a negative space. When I came back home from winter break, no academic stress because the semester is over. I'm seeing all of my loved ones, my best friend, my boyfriend. I'm seeing everyone who I love and care about to pieces, and then I'm immediately going back to a place where I feel like I don't have anyone. And then from there, I made the executive decision to isolate myself. Now, this might be controversial because a lot of people handle conflict and handle stress different ways. But me personally, my misery does not like company. If I know that I'm going through a dark period in life, and I know that I'm not the best version of myself, and I know that I'm in like a deep space up here where I'm every single day, like I don't feel joy in living life. Like I do not feel happiness. I don't feel joy. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. I'm literally trying to survive to the next day. I'm not living, I'm surviving. I'm not going to go around in the world and push that negative energy and that attitude and that darkness onto other people. And I feel like that's one of the things that is so bad about society. Like when people are going through things, they would literally go around and like try to bring everyone else down with them, and that is not me at all. I would hate for anyone to leave a conversation with me and be like, damn, like she drained me. Like talking to that girl really drained me because of how negative and how dark she is right now. I'm not gonna go and try to hang out with everyone and try to grab meals with everyone and try to, just be in everyone's face and either A, tell all my business to them and like feel everything I'm going through and like get too personal with people that I barely know, or B, only have them talk to me because I know if I start speaking back and if I start interacting and engaging in conversation, I know I'm gonna say some really dark and really negative things that might bring them down. I would just rather not do that, and I feel like that is the best option for me as a person because I know I don't wear my stress easily. Like if I'm sad, if I'm upset, if I'm stressed out, you're going to see it all over my face. And I've been told that from a young age. I have never been able to hide my stress or my problems or my anxiety. So I would rather not push that onto other people. I would rather just isolate and just be by myself and figure it out. And then when I'm ready, rejoin society. But I would never in a million years willingly walk around miserable and try to make other people miserable with me. Like absolutely not. There's a layer to that because as a Black woman, everyone already thinks you're aggressive, everyone already thinks you're mean, everyone already thinks you're scary. So now if you really start walking around here casting that negative energy onto everyone, then it's just going to reaffirm what they already think about you based off their internal like preconceived notions of how Black women are. So I would rather not feed into those stereotypes. Like no, I'm not mean, I'm just fucking depressed and I'm going through a lot. Thank you. I would appreciate if you don't label me as that I'm not, just because you don't understand what's going on up here. Thank you. Through that isolation and just going from my room to class to work, back to my room, and that same like room, class, work, room, class, work, room every single day, that shit was driving me crazy. And like I said, that was this whole entire like era, this whole entire season of my life was the darkest place I've ever been in since 2018. And I think another aspect of why my first year was so bad and what makes me so sad to say that is because what happened in my life in 2018, that was my first introduction to depression, to anxiety, to sadness, to suicide ideation. Like that was my first experience with all of that. I can say I didn't fully recover from that till about 2022, 2023. Like that's how long it took me to like claw myself out of that dark space. So the fact that I found myself back there, it was really discouraging. And I will say, like, I was being hard on myself because it's like I couldn't have known what I was about to go through. I couldn't have known what I was about to experience, and there was no way for me to prevent it. But on top of that, it's just like, damn, like this place that I worked so hard to get myself out of and to not ever go back to, I'm literally back to. And I'm back to this dark place in an era and a season of my life where I was so excited to be in. And then finally getting to this space and it being one, like the darkest season, darker than 2018. Like that's how bad it was, darker than 2018. It breaks my heart every single time I think about it, because all I think about is that 18-year-old version of myself that was just going into college and packing up all my stuff and saying goodbye to all my friends and doing all this self-reflection to prepare me for college, and being so happy and so excited for what I was about to experience and go through, thinking that this was going to be the best time of my life, all for it to be the exact complete opposite. That is what really hurts when I think about it. And then my second semester, that's when I also started to get into issues with one professor, one class in particular. Now, I'm not going to make this a long drawn out story because it does have a happy ending, thankfully. Long story short, when I was in high school, I took this AP class. And this AP class, it was hard, it was challenging, but I did get a relatively good score on it on the AP exam. I got a 4, and I did walk away from that class feeling like I generally understood the concept. Now, AP, when we're in high school, they sell it to us like AP, these are college level courses. This is going to prepare you for college. These classes are exactly what college is going to be like, you know. So when I get to college and I see classes similar to this AP class that I took in high school, I'm like, okay, I should be ready. I should be prepared. I was not prepared. I enrolled myself in this class because I needed a certain credit to fulfill in order to be promoted to my sophomore year. If not, I would have to stay over the summer and take a class, which I did not want to do. I wanted to get away from that school as soon as possible. I wanted to leave. It was after the ad drop period when I realized, like, hey, that AP class I took in high school, that shit was not shit compared to what I have to do right now. And I don't have the fundamental knowledge to do well. Like, no, this is not just me, like, being lazy and not trying and not pushing myself. Like, no, it was genuinely going to be very, very, very difficult for me to succeed in this class just off of high school knowledge. So I just was set from a disadvantage from the very, very, very beginning. I was struggling since January. Me personally, it is relatively hard for me to ask for help, just because I'm not one of those people that are just going to keep asking for help at the sight of one roadblock or one challenge. Like, no, I'm going to try to figure it out before I ask anybody for help, because strong, independent Black woman, like, that's just what I was raised to be. So the fact that I realized so early on, like, yeah, baby, you cook, like, you need to ask for help. I was trying to be a proactive, young, independent college student and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not too prideful to say I need help. I'm going to ask for help. And I don't feel like I was helped at all. Since January, February, March, April, May, all the way up to the final. And after the final, I was confused in this class. Big shout out to one of my classmates that I randomly emailed one day. She seemed super sweet, and we were in a different class together. And I said, hey, I introduced myself. I said, listen, sister, I'm struggling. I'm confused. You seem like you got it. Can you please help me? And from there, she tutored me. She tried her best. Was I still confused? Hell yeah. Well, she did try her best. She literally spent hours going, and she was confused herself, but this girl spent hours trying to go over the material, break it down to me in a way that I can explain. Like, she was literally an angel. When I say this class had me stressing bad, yo, like, this shit had my hair falling out. This shit had me like so anxious. Like, when I say, oh my god, like, when I say I was so anxious, bro, like, hair falling out, I'm anxious as hell. I'm waking up like heart palpitations because I'm thinking like, yo, I'm dead ass gonna fail this class and it's going to violate my GPA. In college, your GPA is the thing you're most worried about. I don't care what nobody say. To have the best time of your life and to make all these cool friends and to take all these cool classes and just have fun. No, bro. Your GPA is the most important thing in college, because especially if you want to go to pre-professional school, like law school or grad school or a job, whatever you want to do, the Yale name is not enough, bro. And that's what they try to sell to you, like, or that's what you may think, because going through life, we hear these big names: Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Dartmouth, Cornell. Like, you just hear all those big, big, big names, and you're like, yes, I want to get there because I know if I'm in there and if I get into these schools, it's the first step in the door. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be set for life. No. no, you still need to care about your GPA, and the GPA is on top of everyone's mind. Well, I can't speak for everyone. The GPA is always going to be on top of my mind, okay? I'm not one of those people that just wishful thinking like, oh yes, I'm going to fail the midterm and fail the final and still pass the class. Like, no. I know. Like, if I'm struggling, I don't understand what's going on. I failed the midterm. I know I'm cooked for the final. I know I'm cooked. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. I'm getting a headache just even thinking about it, thinking about how stressed out I was because, bro, like, you have to understand, I was alone throughout all of this. So I'm going through this shit by myself. And trust me, I asked around. I asked 22, and I counted 22 different people. Either, can you tutor me? Or do you know someone that can tutor me? And majority of the answers I got was no. Some of the answers I got was, yeah, you're cooked. Basically discouraging me on top of me already being discouraged. Like, it was just too much, bro. It was too much. It was too much. All for a class that I should have never been in, but nobody really guided me or nobody really told me like, hey, this is a very bad idea until after it was too late. Whatever I'm going through in life, my mental health bad, I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, heartbreak, friend breakup, and some shit with my parents. Whatever I'm going through in life, school has always been what I'm good at. I have had so many experiences where I'm literally having the worst day possible, but I still have to take an exam and I passed the exam with flying colors. I get 100 on the exam and 99 on the exam, whatever the case may be. Like, that has been my life the entire time. So the fact that this was the first time where everything is going wrong, like, I'm failing this class, I don't have no friends, I'm stressed, like, I feel alone, I'm lonely as hell, like, I got all the shit going on in here that nobody know about, and I don't really feel comfortable speaking to nobody on this campus about. So it was just like, bro, too much going on. On top of all the personal shit that I'm struggling with, now I'm struggling academically for the first time in my life. And when I say struggling, I mean like dead ass struggling. But like, nobody wanted to believe me, bro. Everybody said, oh, you got that Yale brain, you got it. I did not have it. I did not have it, bro. Like, and nobody was trying to understand or listen that I did not have it, son. Long story short, I ended up passing the class, and I like, mark my words, that class and that major or any classes aligned with that major, if you know, I'm not gonna put it on blast on here, but I'm never taking a class like that ever again, bro. Ever again. Like, my schedule for the fall of 2025, like next semester, like the beginning of my sophomore year, I have been paranoid. I've been looking at reviews, I've been looking at the professors, I've been looking at the people. Like, I've been doing my best and asking around. Like, trust me, I've been trying to cross my T's and dot my I's about my next schedule, because, bro, what happened this semester cannot ever happen again. I can never be in a class that is meant for juniors and seniors and for a major that I'm not even in. Like, I can't do that no more. But I passed the class, so that's what I'm gonna say. And then I had to learn some very, very tough lessons towards the end of the semester. I wasted all of my freshman year stressing out about, I'm trying to like tell y'all without telling y'all, because if I tell y'all, it's gonna be messy. But I want y'all to understand, like, my biggest mistake my freshman year was stressing out about situations and stressing out about people that could not care less and had already been moved on and was navigating life like nothing ever happened. I'm not the type of person where I could just wake up the next morning and think and operate like everything was okay and nothing ever happened. Like, absolutely not. Like, if I go through some traumatic shit, like, it's going to be on my mind for a while. Like I told y'all, what I went through in 2018, it took me to 2022, 2023 to heal from that. I spent so much time and I wasted so much time stressing about people and situations that one, weren't gonna change nothing, and two, was not like, the stress wasn't reciprocated. So it's like, what am I doing this for? Like, what am I stressing out for? What am I sad for? What am I wasting so much time for? And it really showed, because I wanted, like, there were certain things that I wanted to do my freshman year of college that I was so excited about doing, and it was like on like a checklist, like, I want to do this and this. And I didn't get to do it because my mental health was so bad to the point where I could not handle, and I didn't have the capacity to take on anything else, because that's how bad shit got. But then I look around, I'm seeing like other people get to do everything that I wanted to do. And it's like, I did it to myself. That was self-induced. Because, like I just said, I spent so much time stressing and sad and shit about how shit played out. Whole time, everybody then moved on with their life and nobody cared no more. I can promise you I'm not doing that ever again. And there was a lot of things I could have handled better, a lot of things I could have did differently, a lot of lessons that I had to learn the hard and the difficult ways. One, nothing will prepare you for college. No amount of planning, no amount of reflecting, no amount of stressing, no amount of nothing will prepare you for this, and damn sure high school won't. I've been saying this since last semester in my beginning episodes, and I'm saying this again now. My high school did not prepare me, not a lick, for college. I see all these TikToks and these videos of, here are 10 ways you can prepare to come to college, or here are 5 do's and don'ts of things you should do when preparing for college. All that bullshit. Because at the end of the day, you do not know what you're about to embark on. I believe that your fate is written. Whatever is about to happen, if you're a senior in high school right now, if you're graduating, first of all, congratulations. And if you're about to go to college, you don't know what's about to happen. You are like, there's no way for you to anticipate what is about to happen. So there's no real way for you to prepare. This is a whole different ball game, a whole different people, a whole different environment, a whole different everything that you are about to experience. And like, there's just no way for you to prepare. My best advice is to go in with your head held high and a strong will to live, because this shit will challenge you in ways like no other. Another lesson that I had to learn the hard way at Yale is I learned like my category of privilege. Obviously, I knew I was coming to Yale. I knew I was going to be around a lot of like privileged people and like upper echelon, upperclassmen people, but I didn't realize how much it would dictate how everyone acts and how everyone moves. I would definitely say like people are very privileged here. People are very privileged at Yale, and it shows in the way that they handle conflict, and it shows in the way that they treat other people. Me personally, when I was growing up, I grew up very humble. I was taught to always be humble. I was taught to treat people how I would want to be treated. That was one of the lessons I learned in kindergarten that I still stick to this day. I always try to treat people how I would want to be treated. I don't try to belittle anyone. I don't try to make anyone feel so like inferior to me. Like, absolutely not. I feel like a lot of people at Yale, they grew up with people being at their beck and call. They grew up with people under their ass. They grew up with people like kissing their ass, and they grew up not having to be independent, not having to figure shit out on their own because of privilege. And I'm not coming from a place of like jealousy and envy, because in no way, shape, or form would I want to trade places with that level of privilege to the point where it takes away from my humility and how I treat and how I view other people. I would definitely say another aspect that contributed to like why this year was so stressful and why it deteriorated a lot of my like self-esteem and things like that, and like the perception I had of myself, is because a lot of the times and in a lot of situations I felt like I was looked down upon and I was looked as inferior based on my like socioeconomic status, and then people just thought that I was supposed to kiss their, so people thought I was supposed to like look up to them and idolize them and like lose myself in them basically because they were more privileged in certain aspects than me. And it's just like, no, absolutely not. I thought they were going to be the most difficult aspect of navigating Yale. Oh my God, I'm going to a PWY. I've came from black and brown spaces my entire life. Like, the way people are going to be so racist, so mean. I have not experienced none of that besides the microaggressions I told you about in previous other like episodes. But all in all, like, a lot of the negative experiences I've had has been from my own community, and I've definitely seen and like witnessed and have had time to like talk to other people about. And there's a lot of issues within the black community at Yale that I'm not going to get into, because I believe that like, I don't know, I just believe that that's for like us to figure out within like as a community, as a family. There's just a lot of issues and disappointing issues that I experienced and that I like realized that are embedded into the black Yale community, and all I can hope and pray is that it gets better with time. And the last lesson I learned was nobody is coming to save you. College is a different beast. And I know in the other episodes I said, yes, we have so many resources. We have this advisor and that liaison and things like that. At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people at Yale, their mentality is, this is college. Like, you're going to fall and bump your head. You're going to make mistakes, and like, you'll learn from them on your own. Me personally, I'm the type of person where if I have knowledge or experience that I could tell someone to prevent them or like stop them from making the same mistakes I did, and to like kind of protect them in a sense, I would tell them. I would be more than willing to tell them. That's why this summer, I'm starting August 15th when the freshmen come. At Yale, we have different orientation programs for the new students. They could start meeting people, get acclimated, their first couple days on campus. And I'm a counselor for one of those programs, and I'm going to make it my mission. Yes, it's just a summer program, but I've definitely seen how other people make it like a lifelong connection thing. And with whoever I get in my group of freshmen, I'm going to guide them, not protect them, because it's certain shit I can't protect you from in college. Like I said, nobody's coming to save you no matter how hard they try. But it's certain like tools of wisdom and knowledge that I wish somebody told me. I wish somebody would have told me. That could have stopped me and could have saved me from doing so much and making so much mistakes. There's no secret that I had a very terrible experience. It's no secret that I want to forget every ounce of my freshman year, because that's how bad it was. That's how shitty, that's how terrible it was. That's how much of a disaster it was. That's how much of a disappointment it was. my general reflections of my freshman years, I'm very disappointed. I'm very sad how it turned out. And like I said, I say that because when I think back of my 18-year-old self that was so happy, was so excited, was so like lively, and was so happy to be starting college and like having a fresh start, and literally at the school that I prayed and I cried and I dreamed about getting into, all for me to not enjoy it, all for me to come out on the end with so much like trauma and shit that I have to deal with over the summer and really heal from. Yeah, I'm just disappointed in how it turned out. I'll be honest. Like I said, 25% of that is like Yale related things. I feel like the school got way too much money and way too much resources and way too much power for certain things to be happening the way it happened, especially in the political sense. Sophomore year has no other option but to be my redemption, because I worked too damn hard for too damn long to get to college and not have a good time, and to get to college and not meet those lifelong connections that everyone always talks about, or to get to college and like have a miserable experience to the point where it's not something I could happily reflect on to like my future kids and stuff. No, I'm going to make the best out of this experience from here on out. I'm going to take the summer to, heal the heal the last bit of hurt like I still have left in me, to understand that not everyone's going to value me as much as I value them, or to understand that not everyone is going to care about me as much as I cared about them, and like all those lessons that come with like interpersonal conflict. But my sophomore year is going to be way better than my freshman year. I'm calling it right now. It has no other option but to be. Pedal to the metal, all gas, no brakes. Like, yes, I'm taking a heavier course load just because I want to make sure that I get the necessary credits out the way, because I would hate to be one of them people that end up, graduating a semester or a year late because of a hiccup one semester. I didn't take this class that I had to take, or I didn't get this credit. That's not going to be my story. No shade to the people that is that story, but that's not going to be my story whatsoever. I'm making it my mission that it's not going to be. Also, I want to be a guide, be a buffer, be a help to the incoming freshmen. If you are an incoming freshman at Yale, Cultural Connections, I 100% recommend, not just because I'm working it this summer, but because it is a good like introduction to Yale, and like you could get to meet people, you could start to bond with people. If you're gonna be in my group, then we definitely gonna be a family, because trust me, it's gonna be useful when it's just start hitting the fan earlier your freshman year. I have so many aspirations, so much things I need to accomplish because I wasn't able to my freshman year. I will get my shit together for my sophomore year, and I will do the things that I wanted to do during my freshman year, but I couldn't because my mental health was too up. Lastly, I just want to touch on the future of silence. Honestly, I can't confidently say what the future of silence holds, just because I'm going to be taking on a heavier course load. My nonprofit, The Voices We Hear. You can follow my nonprofit at The Voices We Hear on Instagram if you want to learn more. And you can also look on my website. I'll have that on the screen. I know for a fact I'm going to be much more busy, much more stressed, probably much more like just doing all of the things. I can't confidently say whether or not I'll be bringing silence back in full force. I definitely do want to keep documenting my experience, just because of all of the people that have reached out over the past few months telling me how much my episodes have helped them. I definitely want to keep documenting my experience, because I think it's so important to have someone that is transparent about what they're going through and what they're experiencing, especially at like an Ivy League, which has this elitist like mindset. Stereotype is so mysterious, it's so unknown of what we actually go through here. Baby, I'm more than happy to tell you what I really be going through here. But just know that thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. If you watched, you listened, if you supported throughout this first season. As of right now, I do have full intentions to bring silence back in full force starting season 2 in the fall, once I get back on campus and once the new school year starts again, my sophomore year at Yale. I have full intentions of bringing silence back, but I can't say for sure. So thank you so much to anyone that has supported in any way, shape, or form, liked my videos, commented on my videos on all my platforms, reached out personally telling me how much my episodes have helped them. Like, I'm so genuinely appreciative. Also want to say thank you so much to everyone that has helped me along the way, like in personal, like in real life. I know I said I experienced a lot of this alone. I went through a lot of the journey alone. And I say alone because when shit was really hitting the fan, when my mental health was bad, when I'm in my room crying every day and shit, where I'm putting on makeup to hide the fact that I just finished crying for 3 hours to go to work, like nobody was there for that. And that was intentional. I didn't want to drag anyone along through my misery with me, but there was definitely people that, kept checking up on me, especially like my boyfriend. Love that man. He was literally on the phone making me do positive affirmations like I'm beautiful, I'm worth it, I could do this. Like my friends that held it down, like anytime I needed a laugh, a chuckle, a kiki, they were always there to support. My parents, my father literally flew from the state he lives in all the way to New York, got a rental truck, drove and was at my campus by 6 a.m. to help me pack all my stuff in the moving truck, then drove back to New York in that same span, in that same day, drove back 2 and 2.5 hours to New York. And during that, 2.5 hours, that's when I really sat and I told him everything that I've been really going through. Because, on the phone, you can never really tell like what somebody's really going through. But I really like broke everything down, explained to him. My mom literally was on the phone with me every single day, making sure I was still alive, making sure I was okay. In conclusion, to conclude this video, my freshman year at Yale was the worst period of my entire life. You couldn't pay me to do this shit again. I was so down. I was so depressed. I was so sad this entire time. It makes me so sad because I had such high hopes and high expectations for what this experience was going to be like, and it turned out to not be like that at all. Like when I say almost check myself into the mental hospital, like yeah, it was a lot. Like it was a lot. But all in all, I'm so proud of myself for sticking it through. I'm so proud of myself of making it to the end. I'm so proud of my academics. Like yes, I could have did better. Yes, my grades could have been better. But at the end of the day, I did my best for what I was given and for what I was going through. And that's all I could ever ask myself, is to do my best. I am happy and excited to share. I will be studying abroad this summer in London. I leave at the end of June. I will be studying abroad in London in the UK for about a month and a half this summer. I'm super excited for that. And yes, for the millionth time, if you stayed along this journey, if you're new to this journey, if you supported this journey with silence, thank you so much. I apologize for my inconsistency. I just didn't want to come on camera depressed and sad every other Monday. But yes, I'll see you guys in my next episode, which is hopefully in the fall of 2025. Bye.